Hello, everybody. My name is Kev. I am the owner of Forever Green, and we are here for another installment of 7 Questions Sunday, the video version. We are on video interview number 2, and that will be this week with comedian Sam Miller. Sam, thank you so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate
welcome.
it. So, Sam, the last interview that we did, I did with Jess. So, I'm excited to talk to you as well.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, let's jump into it, man. Like
my Jess, like Jess Anderson, like skinny Jess.
Yep.
Eric.
I literally just did the interview with her on Friday last week.
Cool.
And then you two are the first 2 of this type. We used to do it all in the medium of Word, and now we're just kind of moving everything over to video. We find it a lot easier for people to learn about these individuals that we find so fascinating from the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, thank you, man.
And I'll say, man, just to jump out the gate, same thing I said to Jess. Your guys' podcast is fun.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
It is fun, man. And to me, and I told her this. To me, it's like a working class, your mom's house podcast.
Oh, thank you, man.
And I just absolutely love it. The banter back and forth, and I keep forgetting the gentleman's name that does your guys' engineering.
Oh, Trey?
Yeah. So when you guys mentioned how young he was on the podcast, and I was like, oh man, he's not going to get some of these jokes when they start flying.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you want to know something crazy? Trey is no more.
Really?
He is. Yeah. His tenure at Nate Jackson's where we record it. We record the podcast at Super Funny Comedy Club there in Tacoma.
Okay.
And unfortunately, Trey is no longer with Nate Jackson's. He's doing good, though. I talk to him a lot. He's doing his thing, man. So that's how it goes in this business sometimes, man. Yeah. So we're working it out right now, trying to come up with another plan. So we still got episodes coming out every week, though. We're going to make it happen.
Well, and like I told Jess on Friday, I started at episode 28 and worked my way back.
Oh,
so all the clips I saw were from you guys, like on TikTok or on Instagram. I was like, okay, I need to go check out these episodes specifically because of the clips.
If you start at the recent ones and then work your way back, then we're going to get worse and worse at podcasting as you listen. So that's going to be really frustrating for you. So.
No, I don't think it will. I like to see that. Just how did everything get to where it was? But I like to see the film. Yeah. You're here now? Let's see where you started.
I finally feel like we're getting like better at it. Like I really feel like a lot more comfortable than I used to just doing it, So
yeah, that's all it's about, is being comfortable. So I mean, and it's good that you can recognize that and you can acknowledge that, because a lot of people just are like, oh, I didn't realize I was getting better at it, or I didn't realize I was bad at it, or why am I thinking I'm bad at it? So
yeah,
I really enjoy the podcast a lot, and I just know that's going to continue to gain traction, because it's funny, and I like what you guys talk about. Man. It's very real.
Yeah,
it doesn't like a lot of podcasts that I've seen lately just seem kind of too polished. They're just too polished out the gate.
Yeah. Well, we're talking, man. It's the comedy world is pretty rough, and for me and Jess, we're both in different places in our careers, but we got to be really close on the road working together. She was featuring for me or hosting for me, one or the other. And she's one of my favorite people in the world. So it's cool to get to hang out with your best friend all the time, So
and that is dope. I love that. Now, Sam, I came across your material on TikTok. Just randomly one day, I was scrolling through because I follow Nate and I follow some other comedians, and then randomly one day it was just your video was up, and I was like, oh, he mentioned Olympia. I need to listen to this. Like, who?
Oh, there you
go. Okay, let's listen to this guy. And it was about, you were talking about you weren't gay, but you tried it.
I was wondering what video you were gonna.
Yeah, that was the very first one I saw.
It's that one. Uh, yeah.
I laughed so hard. And the laughter I heard in the audience during that clip, I was like, you guys get it, and you're laughing just as hard as I am.
Yeah, that joke. It's an interesting joke, man. It's definitely one that I'm still nervous telling it. You know, I joke about like some pretty wild stuff. Some things that have happened to me in my life, and that's what I mine. That's what I mine for humor, both off stage and on stage. Is the kind of stuff that I like to joke about.
Yeah, you know? And I think that's great because I mean, if you can put your life into the art, it just adds another depth to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Rather than just writing jokes.
Yeah, I think a lot of comics would do real well if they were more vulnerable. You know, I think a lot of comics, they get in this business and they think that they're just going to outsmart everybody and wow people with their knowledge of the world when people don't come to comedy shows to learn. They don't come to comedy shows to get their opinions changed. They come to comedy shows to laugh. If you can do that stuff, the laughter's got to come first, or else it's not going to work. But if you can get people laughing, and then you can talk about some stuff that matters to you off stage, good for you. But yeah, I think that's why my comedy is resonating with people, is because I am willing to be vulnerable and talk about
I like
hard stuff, like that joke itself, which is based in reality, and it's a very sad reality. So yeah, that time in my life was really rough. So,
and you know, and I went through your website and I read your bio, and you listed it as what I say about me.
Yeah,
and not many people do that. They list it as about, and they just put about, and they just list, and it speaks in the third person, sometimes the first person. But I just liked how yours was what I say about me.
Yeah.
You know, because that again, you're talking about vulnerability. That's extremely vulnerable.
Yeah, well, people. I always think it's strange, you know, what we're required to get these gigs. You know, you got to have a bio, and I don't know, man. A lot of times, I think we like to tell ourselves stories about ourselves that aren't really true. You know, like we want to say, "Hey, I'm the toughest guy around," or "I'm the best looking guy around." But that's what I say about me, you know. Other people might have different opinions, you know.
And, hey, and everybody's entitled to their opinion, but my opinion of me is my opinion of me.
Yeah, for sure, you know. So I think all that stuff, man, you know, another thing is that I worked really hard on that website, and I'm actually glad you looked at it. Good job. Because it bums me out when people, I get a lot of questions all the time from people, and they say, where can I find out about your next show? And I'm happy that they're coming to a show, but I make it pretty clear that, you know, I try to keep my website pretty updated, you know.
I think that's great. That's what a lot of people don't do, is the updating of it. They keep it there. They update it like every 3 months, and then they'll put the stuff they did the last 3 months on it, or they'll put out whatever's coming up the next month. But I think the website, I think it looks great.
Thank you.
I think it looks great. Like I just redid our website just a month ago, and I was so nervous about how it looked, and my team was like, "No, it looks great. It looks good." I'm like, "Okay, cool, great."
You probably hold yourself to a higher standard than other people do. That's usually how it goes with entrepreneurs, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly how I am, and that for me, that comes from being a musician and doing music production and engineering for so many years. I'm my worst critic for sure. Anytime.
See, I'm all screwed up because I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I just wanted to make people laugh, and then it turns out I was starting a small business, and I hate it. I think it's dumb.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. It sucks sometimes.
Oh yeah,
it really does. Well, Sam, I want to jump into these 7 questions that we have for you.
All right, baby. I looked over them too. I did my research.
Wonderful. So tell me, you know, like I've read your bio, And I can read that all day, but to hear from you, what was the experience in your life that kind of pushed you toward comedy? And how was that? And I can already tell what's already shaped your comedic space and style.
Yeah.
But tell me, what got you to say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do?
You know that saying, like, hard times breed hard people. I don't think that's always the case. I think humor is what allowed me to stay human. Because I've been in. Oh, sorry, that's my bad. I've been in. I've been in positions in my life, whether I am, whether I was homeless or whether I was incarcerated, where I didn't really have anything to call my own. I didn't have anything. And, but I still had jokes. I could still run my mouth. I could still laugh. And those laughs are worth more, I think maybe the 10 times in my life where I've laughed the hardest, probably 5 of them were stuff that happened while I was incarcerated, and it's probably not stuff that's good, but,
right.
But finding joy in those moments is worth a lot more than the joy I find now, because I live a life that's pretty cake now, really. I'm, I always like to say I'm about 51% happy, and that's enough for me,
I think that's enough for anybody, really.
Yeah.
I mean, because what does 100% happiness really look like at the end of the day?
Yeah, it doesn't exist, I don't think. It's just people pretending. But to answer your question, man, what pushed me into this life is that I got really funny because I went through a bunch of, like, things were really bad for a long time. And humor, for me, humor is survival. And humor is how humor makes me feel alive. And so doing stand-up and, like, crushing at it and just being really good at it makes me feel really alive. And nothing's better than being alive.
Right?
Because I've almost died a few times and I'm not into it, man.
I love that you can laugh at that, because that's one of the most real things to keep in the front of our minds.
Oh, for sure.
Day,
for sure.
Living is so much better than anything else.
Yeah. I'm actually, it's funny. I hate to do this, but I'm actually writing it down because I'm going to turn that into a joke.
Hey, why not?
Nothing's better than being alive. I've almost died a few times and it sucks. It's just dumb stuff like that, man.
I mean, I like, every morning when I wake up, I'm like, wow, I get another opportunity to live this life that I've been given, and whatever happens, happens.
Amen.
Like, I have my wife, I got my kids, I have my business, I got my family. Like, if I complained about my life, I would expect somebody to slap me.
Yeah. I complain. I mean, I think there's a difference. So, complaining versus, I don't know what you would call it, but talking about the trials that we go through is different than complaining, because every time I complain about stand-up comedy, and believe me, there is a lot to complain about this industry I'm involved in. It's always got that patina of joy and wonder too. You know what I mean? Because there are, I'm flying to Boston tomorrow. Someone's picking me up and driving me to, I'm performing in New Hampshire tomorrow. I've never been. I went to New York back when I was drinking and doing drugs a long time ago. I was in New York for a while. I don't think I've ever been that far east, I've never been that far east, and then I'm going to New Hampshire, and then I'm going to Maine for 3 days. They got me like an Airbnb, man. I get to do my thing,
That's really dope that you get to experience a few things while you're on that trip. 1, going that far east.
Yeah.
And 2, just experiencing a different part of the country.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, just being able to be you experiencing that part of the country.
I do it all, 4 days ago. I just got back from Northern California, I didn't go into Oakland or San Francisco, but I saw them from the bridge. And I've been to Oakland and San Francisco, and I was in the redwoods. Uh, that's that's a routine occurrence, like driving through the mountains. Drove along the Oregon coast, and that's really common. And I'm going back to Northern California at the end of this month. I'm going back down to Santa Rosa, and I'm getting ready to it looks like I'm going to New York, DC, Philly. I just booked a show in Branson, Missouri, back to Chicago, Indianapolis, Monticello, Illinois, Macon, Georgia. I got so much stuff coming up, man, and it's just these jokes and the work I'm putting in on the internet and the connections that I've been building, and basically making sure that I'm in the right head state and I got my recovery in check. So whenever I grab a microphone that I take the roof off, like that's the move, man, is like getting on stage and crushing, because I have to, because other people are better at the business shit than I am. I'm figuring it out.
Right.
But I don't think there's too many people out right now that are doing the same kind of comedy I am at the level that I am, So it's pretty rad, man.
That is super dope, because you're so self-aware as a comedian, whereas I don't think everybody who's either in comedy, music, acting, whatever, is super self-aware. But when you take just the way you're looking at it, like, I need to grab this microphone and give everybody the best show. Like, that's what you're worried about.
Yeah.
And that's to me, that's what you should be worried about.
Yeah, man. And I'm from Olympia, man. From Olympia, Washington, man. Like, we got our own thing going on out here. And people act like I'm a Seattle comedian and I'm a Portland comedian. I said, no, man, I'm from Olympia. We're a little different, We're kind of some weird people.
You say we're a little different. I went and saw Ron Funches in Olympia.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I took my wife to that, and he said the same thing. He said Olympia's a little different.
Yeah,
he had never stopped through there before. He had driven through, but never stopped.
Ron has done shows in Olympia before. He used to live on my friend's couch.
Oh, word?
Yeah. Ron's from Portland, I think. I think that's where he started.
I think he's from
comedy.
Salem. I think he's from Salem.
Oh, that checks out. Yeah. That checks out. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
he was doing a lot of stuff in Portland. I know he was, and he was doing a lot of stuff in Seattle. So
yeah, and I was like, that was a impulse, buy the tickets, go to the show type of thing. And
it's funny. He's good. God.
It was way. I laughed way harder than I probably should have.
Yeah,
and that's okay. But it was a great night, So, Sam, it's a question that I ask plenty of people who are comedians that I know, and I asked you. Comedy walks the fine line.
Mm-hmm.
Walks a very fine line between humor and offense.
Mm-hmm.
What is your approach to creating the jokes while still challenging everything that's going on in this crazy world?
I'm of the mind, man, where the way that it's hard to answer, man, because I don't want to I don't know how I feel about it right now. It's just a hard question. I'll tell you this. My thing is that if I ever had somebody come to one of my comedy shows, and maybe they're gay, maybe they're trans, maybe they're like a black person, maybe they're maybe they're of another traditionally like marginalized population, and they left my show and they didn't have a good time. I take that personally, and I'm going to do what I need to do in my power to make sure that doesn't happen. So the easiest way to do that is just to stay in my lane. So I'm going to talk about things that affect me. I'm going to talk about my life. I might talk about other populations, I might, I got a joke about how, I went to the Yakima jail. I don't do this that much because I think people take it the wrong way. And I got other jokes that I can do instead. Like, I'm not up there trying to shock people or blow people's minds. But I have a joke I do where I go, the Yakima jail. Like I went to the Yakima jail when I was 19, and I always say, man, that's the first time in my life where being white didn't really work out for me. And people take that a certain way. But what I'm saying is that generally being white in this world, things are going to be a little easier for you unless you're in the Yakima jail. And I tag it up. I say, yeah, it's like that's there just wasn't a lot of other white people in there.
See, you know what's funny is because I'm from Washington, I get that joke.
Yeah.
You know, I think that joke would land perfectly with folks from Washington because they get it.
You know what's funny, man, is I find that it works really good in Tacoma, but not as good in Olympia sometimes. And I love my town. But you know what? The people that don't like that joke sometimes are other white people. So I don't know, man.
Okay.
I'm just doing my best, you know? And that's the same thing, man. It's like I have jokes about like I don't know if you heard this part of that joke, but where I get blown by that dude, you know, I'm like homeless. I let this guy blow me, and I'm trying to tell myself things to make me feel less gay because I'm all weird about it. And at one part, I'm like, dicks are just like weird fingers, which I say actually makes no sense because if you walk outside a nightclub and you see a dude blowing another dude, if you see a dude sucking another dude's dick, they might not be gay. It could just be like a rough Tuesday in Everett or something, right? But if you walk out of place and you see a dude sucking another dude's finger, they're gay for sure. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like it's way gayer to suck a finger. You know what I mean? Now, see, that's a joke where I'm talking about like another culture that's different than mine. Like I'm not a gay dude, you know? But I'm talking about something that, but because I'm coming at it from my own perspective, I'm not saying gay people this, gay people that, you know, it's right. Like, to me, that's that line. There's stuff sometimes with the way I talk about my wife where me and my wife, like I might make a joke at the house and me and my wife will laugh, but, right. And it might be something that's kind of mean towards my wife, but I'm not going to say that on stage. That's just for me and her.
Right.
You know, that's just for me and her.
You got to know. See, the thing is, you know when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
Yeah.
Because some people are just on all the time. I've met comedians who are just on all the time.
Yeah.
Like, how are you so on all the time?
Yeah. I don't know. I struggle with that too sometimes because sometimes I just really like to be funny. Like it's fun. It's fun to make your friends laugh. Like I just got off a road trip with my friend Tiffany. And we laughed all the way down to California. You know, eventually we ran out of stuff to talk about, just listen to music. But that's how road trips go, you know.
Hey, but if you can't laugh on a road trip with your friend, like that's,
yeah, you're in trouble.
You're in deep trouble. Like my wife and I laugh when we're on road trips, and then we just listen to music, and then we'll laugh some more.
That's what you got to do, man.
We've done the Tacoma to San Diego drive before.
Oh, and, dude, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, 24 hours. We had our kids with us. It was 24 hours.
That's a long pull.
Very much. Now, I'll jump to the third question I have for you. You know, it's kind of an off the wall question. It's a hypothetical with everything that's gone on in the U.S. lately. I just wanted to know, you know, if you were asked to perform a comedy show for an audience of non-biological beings, extraterrestrials, if you will.
I don't remember reading this one. Was this in the thing?
It was there.
It was? Dang, I must have missed this one, man.
What topics would you cover to ensure universal laughter?
So if I'm talking about aliens,
if you're talking to aliens, if it's only aliens in the crowd, they understand humor. What are you going to talk about to make them laugh?
Dude, honestly, this is easy because it's like the one thing that always works, and that's self-deprecation. Like I just make fun of myself, you know. I'd probably just go in and be like, man, like, shouldn't they have like a scientist here talking to you guys or something? Like, I'm just some bum from Lacey, you know? Like, what are we talking about, man? I got kicked out of Timberline High School. You guys traveled across galaxies? Like, man, it's not right. And then I'd start roasting them, you know? And then I'd be like, you got a fat head and weird black eyes, and your spaceship sucks.
And you know what? They'd probably all be laughing.
Yeah, they'd like it. Or they'd kill me. But that's how I want to die anyway. Talking shit to an alien.
Hey.
Like Will Smith. Welcome to Earth.
I was just gonna say that. Where you just want to punch one in the face and say, welcome to Earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is for 1994.
That thing's so crazy. Their spaceships were so much better than ours. There's no way he could lose that thing in like an Earth fighter plane.
Not at all. Not at all.
It was bullshit.
Now, the next question I have for you is one that I encountered myself doing music for years. How do you approach performing for an audience that doesn't seem responsive right away?
Well, I've been doing it long enough to know I'm going to switch up my material. I'm going to do crowd work. I'm going to pull out all my tricks. And if none of my tricks work, I'm just going to do my time and I'm going to get out of there. You know, there are times when I do comedy where it's just something to be endured. Interesting thing about it, honestly, man, is that it's easier than it used to be because I care less than I used to in a certain way. I've never cared more and I've never cared less about a show. So if it's a crowd that is receptive, I will do well. I can work, and it does. I don't care what kind of crowd it is. I can work clean. I can work dirty. I usually work somewhere in between. I can do all that. If it's a crowd that kind of sucks, I can still probably do pretty well, generally. If it's a crowd that's absolute trash that doesn't want to pay attention, then I'm just gonna do my jokes and get out and just be bummed out.
Now, follow up to that. How do you feel about crowd work? There's a lot of people out there who are doing it heavy, and then people who don't. Like, how do you feel about it? Because I'm a fan of crowd work when people do it. I really am.
So, I'll say this here. So Nate Jackson, for example, right? Like, he's blown up with his crowd work. Even at Nate Jackson's regular shows, it's probably not more than 25% crowd work. Like, he's not just going up there and doing crowd work. He's still doing material. It's just that the crowd work is what hits with the algorithm. People like it. Because, like, when crowd work can hit in a way that a joke can't, and great jokes are hard to write, and you have to kind of build up to them. Whereas, like, crowd work is different every time. Sometimes a lot of comedians aren't doing different crowd work. A lot of that stuff's in the can, including my stuff. I have crowd work that I do during the show that I predict. I ask a question, I know what the answer is going to be, and then I react to the question as if I've never said that before. A lot of jokes are like that, man. It's this illusion of a conversation. It's smoke and mirrors, but how I feel about crowd work a lot of times, man, is it's usually not a good sign if I'm doing a lot of crowd work. Usually that means that maybe a crowd got away from me a little bit. I am looser than I used to be. But man, if I'm at like a theater show or something and I got like a bunch of people tuned in, I'm not doing crowd work, man. I'm going to do the best jokes I got, man. I'm going to soak that in, man. That's like my favorite thing in the world. But yeah, I don't know. It's funny because you say that, but that's my thing, man, is I don't think crowd work is popular, but I don't think it's as prevalent as people think it is. So that's just like, it's just what hits online right now, It seems like that's changing, man. I'm not seeing as many crowd work clips as I used to.
No, I used to.
I'm not seeing as much stand-up as I used to, dude. Honestly,
I see a lot of stand-up right now on my algorithm, and that's because
on TikTok.
Mostly.
Yeah,
mostly because I interact with it. I always interact with Nate's. I think Nate's a great comedian. And then
Nate's great.
And
man.
Then there's this guy.
I gotta call him here in a minute.
There's this guy out of New York named Frankie Hoy. I don't know if you've come across his stuff.
Yeah, I've seen him around.
But I think he's funny, and I've seen a lot of crowd work and crowd work specials and I think it's great when people can do it, but there's just something about a good joke that lands just right.
Oh,
there's just something
dude.
about
nothing
it. There's
like it.
nothing like it at all. I've been to many comedy shows at Tacoma Comedy Club, and my wife and I have gone so much, and I've heard so many jokes land just right to the point where I'm like, I may spit my water out, or I may like not be able to breathe because I'm laughing.
You get really into it.
So, if comedy were an Olympic sport, what would your signature move?
Question.
What's your signature move or routine if comedy's an Olympic sport?
Man, I'm decathlon, man. So
okay,
I'm gonna be an all arounder. I'm gonna have like my crowd work's gonna be right, my riffs are gonna be right, my material's gonna be right, and also I'm gonna train. I'm gonna train hard. Like that's my thing. That or that ribbon dancing. One of those. Either decathlon or the ribbons.
Now, would you tell jokes while doing the ribbon? Like you do a pass and then you tell a joke?
No. I actually think that I might quit comedy and just focus on ribbon dancing for real. What's cool too is ribbons aren't even that expensive. No. Like I can go to Hobby Lobby right now.
I mean, I think the most expensive part would be the singlet.
Yeah, for me especially.
I mean, you're a tall man.
That's a lot of lycra.
You're a tall man.
I've had a tough time in singlets before because things fall out and it's a mess. And then all of a sudden I got it's hard to explain. Then I'm on a list. It's real sad. It's all been there.
So, can you describe for me like a time when someone told you that your comedy had a positive impact on their life?
Yeah, I did a show. It's funny. This is a good question. I did a show. This happens a lot with me because so much of my comedy talks about recovery. I routinely have other people in recovery that come up to me and say very nice things about me. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. There's been people that have come up to me in tears and talked about their brother or their sister or their husband or their wife or their mom or their dad or their kid, and that feels wonderful. A lot of times it's a sad story, but the fact that the way I tell jokes and the nature of my jokes can bring about those good memories of them. It's not fair that addiction's not fair in general. Like it's not fair that it happens to the people that are experiencing it or their families that are, it's also, to me, it's not really fair that that we're not supposed to laugh at certain things about like that. I should be, I do these jokes about methamphetamines and I can only go so far. But, sometimes my favorite thing to do in the world and my thing I hopefully will continue to do more of in the future is tell jokes to other people in recovery. That's like my favorite thing in the world because then I don't have to pretend. I don't have to stop. I don't have to stop telling meth jokes 5 minutes in because people get uncomfortable. You know? It's crazy.
Now, have you taken like your comedy, your experience, and have you done any events for folks like in sober living or anything like that?
For sure.
That's beautiful.
I performed for I've done AA and NA conventions. I've done lots of stuff like that. I got a huge one coming up that I can't talk about, but it's like a whole weekend out in Ocean Shores coming up.
That's wonderful, man.
I'm about to tear it up. Yeah, man. And they take good care of me too.
I really feel like that doing that's the best way to give back.
For sure.
Like, because we always want to give back to somebody or a group of people or someone who's been through something that we've been through. And I think for you to do those type of events says so much more about you as a human being. Because I know other people who have been in those situations where they're sober, but they don't even think about giving back. Yeah,
well, I want to say this too, man. It's like this isn't It's not charity either. Like they're paying me, and they're paying me well, and they should pay me, and it feels good to pay me because we're not, I'm as responsible as any other person. As long as I stay away from substances, like I don't bow before anybody, I don't I'm respectful. I go about, a lot of times I avoid conflict. If there's somebody who I think I might be in conflict with, somebody who rubs me the wrong way, I just choose not to be around them. And but that being said, like me and other people in recovery, comedy is my job, and I'm really good at it. And it's an honor that people have me come and perform for them, and they trust me to give them a great show. And that's what I do. And a lot of times during those shows, not only am I funnier at those shows with other people in recovery, I also get really real, and that's important too, So.
I feel like that part of it, you being able to get really real with those folks, that is going to help so much, because you're literally proof that if you change your life around, things work out for you.
Yeah. Well, it works out for some of us, man. Like this road, I know. I mean, even after I got sober, man, I was still getting arrested. I was still shoplifting, getting in fights. That's after I got after I got sober. I made a lot of bad decisions, but over time, man, you get stuff dialed in, and I still want to do illegal stuff all the time. I think about stealing everything. It's crazy. I want to steal shit. It sucks. I don't know if I'm supposed to swear or not. I think that's the first time I swore. But
I wouldn't say it's the first time, but it's the first time you used that.
Oh, did I swear some other times? Well, I did talk about sucking dicks and stuff, so that wasn't
quite
good.
All right. This is not a children's program, so you're okay.
Okay, good. So I should talk more about sucking dicks.
If that's what you want to talk about, Sam.
Or sucking fingers is the real. That's the one you gotta look out for.
You know what's funny is I'm gonna butcher that whole joke to my wife tonight. I'm gonna butcher it badly, and then she's gonna go. She's gonna
sucking on a finger.
She's gonna be like, you know what? I'll just watch it to hear the real joke. That's what she's gonna say.
See, I don't know if the whole joke is out there. I don't know if the finger sucking.
Oh no,
part's
she'll just watch this interview. She'll be like, no, let me hear him tell it, and I'll be like, all right.
Yeah. You should probably just show her.
Yeah, I probably should.
That's probably better.
So, Sam, the last question I have for you, what is next for Sam? I know we talked a little bit about shows you got coming up. What is next? Because I know from what I read on your website, you signed a deal.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was a while ago. I recorded that album. I almost signed that deal. I think I signed it close to 2 years ago,
okay.
Man. And then I recorded the album in April. And then, it's coming out. I have that album coming out. The video portion is coming out October 20th.
Wonderful.
The music portion is coming out October 27th.
Okay.
There's the concrete things that I know I'm going to I'm going to the Comedy Store in LA.
Okay.
The first Monday in November, I'll be at the Comedy Store. Man, I'm booked. I have some open dates in February.
Okay.
Everything else is pretty booked. Well,
so hopefully
that's a pretty awesome feeling.
Hopefully, we're throwing our first comedy show sponsored by our brand, for Veterans Day, and that's gonna
awesome.
be in Tacoma. And then I want to keep doing them. Like I used to perform, and I just want to throw shows again. I miss performing and everything. I just don't have it in me to perform anymore. So I just want to throw these shows.
Producing comedy is so cool. I really appreciate people that produce comedy. I'm definitely down to do something. It all depends on what night you're looking for. And,
yeah.
I always say this, man. The comedy producers, it's hard because especially if you're booking a really good paying show, like with a good crowd, good pay, just a good comedy show, is that you got your finger on the button and you can hit that button for somebody and really help them. And comics are going to stay upset at you because you're not hitting the button for them. And that's what Jess is going through. I don't know if you talked to Jess about booking comedy shows.
No, we talked about that because we talked about how when I used to book music shows, I would run across the same thing.
Yeah, the attitude of, what's the word?
The entitlement?
When you think entitlement, exactly, that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, it's freaking hard, man. I got to watch myself too, man. You know, it's kind of nice. I kind of got, I wanted to get into, what's it called? I really wanted to get into Laughing Skull in Atlanta this year. It's a big comedy festival. It's a big comedy festival. And I didn't get in, you know? And it's kind of like, oh yeah, Sam, like nothing's given, you know? You got to earn it all.
I mean, the hard work pays off, man. It truly does. It truly does. You know, and I think for a lot of people out there, and I've emailed back and forth with a lot of comedians to book this show that we've got going on, where we're only booking 4 comedians total. So that was tough because I've never done it, and I didn't want to come at it from an angle like I would if I was booking a music show. I used to book people to open for me all the time or to headline shows that I was playing or whatnot. But I just wanted to make sure to, like, I'm putting my toe in a new pond, so to speak. And I just went to people I already knew. And I was like, hey, I want to do this comedy show. What do I need to do? And they're like, I'll get you a list of people for your first show. Like, let's figure it out. So, you know, just got to work hard toward it, keep moving forward.
Yeah. It's bonkers to try to put a show on, you know, because you're gonna have to deal with comedians who are all mentally ill. We all have addiction issues, and you know, trying to get us to sit down and shut up, you know, do something.
I mean, it sounds like booking a music show.
Yeah. It's not too much different at all.
It doesn't seem like it's much different at all, but you know, hopefully we'll get there. Well, Sam, I appreciate you so much taking the time out of your day to do this interview with me.
You bet, man. I'm glad. I'm sorry. I know we had some scheduling stuff, man. Like,
it's all good. It's all good.
Dude, I'm such a mess these days, dude. I need the message. I thought I turned my dinger off and it just dinged. I gotta try to book something in Kansas City because I gotta fly into Kansas City. So we'll see what happens, man.
No, absolutely. Well, Sam, you know what, man? I appreciate you. You know, why don't you let people know where they can find you and if they want to know more?
Yeah. Sam Miller Comedy on Facebook, Sam Miller Comedian on Instagram and TikTok, SamMillerComedy.com. The Tarp Report with Sam and Jess is my podcast with old Jess Anderson, who I got to call here in a minute. I got a couple phone calls I got to make, and none of them are going to be fun.
So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the links to all your stuff there in the description for everybody to take a look at. Sam,
perfect.
You know, safe travels on your way to the East Coast tomorrow. And,
Thank you.
hopefully when you get back and hopefully, you know, I can come out and see one of your shows out here. And then hopefully in the spring, we can get you booked to do a show with us.
I would love to do something with you guys.
Wonderful. So. Well, Sam, thank you so much again. Again, my name is Kev with the Forever Green 7 Questions Sunday interview series. Thank you so much.